Hey, it's been a while. I was on vacation. The wife and I took a little trip to warmer climes because it's cold. Now I'm back. And now I have something to say. And you should not at all be surprised. My name is Jack Wallen. And I have been having this little conversation with my muse for years. And hopefully, just hopefully, someone out there has learned something from it. Or just been entertained. I don't know. I don't care so long as I am imparting some sort of wisdom and fun to you. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. So, I ran into a conversation on one of the many social media platforms a while ago. Actually, while I was on vacation. And it kind of surprised me. It surprised me and it didn't surprise me. The conversation centered around editing and the process of editing. Now, before I continue on, I want to say something. I want to make a public service announcement that now listen very, very closely. Every writer should never edit their own work. Now, here's the thing. Sure, you can do some self-editing. I do self-editing. I do self-editing all the time. I edit as I write. But that is not the final editing process. It's okay to self-edit during the process of writing or before you actually submit the work to an actual editor. Because chances are pretty good that you, dear writer, are not an editor. Or you might be an editor who writes. I have a few editor friends and associates that do write, but guess what? Even they send their work off to other editors. Why? Here's the big thing. As you're writing, you are not going to catch everything. Why? Because you know how you write. You know your voice. You know what you're going to say next. And because of that, if you self-edit your book and never have another person edit your book, it's going to be chock full of problems. Problems that you may never see yourself. My process has become very streamlined. And I write as I edit. I send it to beta readers, or I proofread it before I send it to beta readers. I get their feedback. I add their feedback. I proof it again. And then I send it to my editor. And I'm always shocked at how many things the editor catches that I missed. And that's after I have read it, I can't even tell you how many times. So if you self-edit, know that it is not enough. Period. You have to have an editor. Now, I understand that a lot of people out there cannot afford an editor. Well, find a way. Find a way to afford an editor. And I'll tell you why. There are a lot of books out there that are in desperate need of editing. And the problem is that they make everybody look bad. And especially self-published authors. Self-published authors already get a bad rap. The last thing they need is for other self-published authors to not edit their books, thereby giving them an even worse rap. And there are plenty of editors out there that are affordable. And I know, affordable is very, very relative. And if you can't afford an affordable editor, find one who's willing to bargain with you, who's willing to barter with you. You probably have some skill that you can barter with them. Or find a friend who's an editor who's willing to give your book a read and make an edit. It's necessary. Consider it a necessity. And if that means you're not publishing as many books a year as you're used to, so be it. Quality is so much more important than quantity. Okay? Now, I'm going to get off my soapbox from that little issue. And I'm going to talk about editing anyway. The conversation that I ran into was sort of centered around the fact that people hated the editing process. Now, I used to be that person. I really did. Back years ago, when I was early on in my career as a writer, I hated editing. It was such a slog, and every time I had to go back and forth with an editor, it always just felt like someone pointing a finger at me saying, "See how bad you are." I had a lot to learn. I had a long way to go. Well, here I am now, and I have a completely different approach and opinion about editing, and I'm going to impart that on you. It's very simple. The editing process is a period where you, with the help of someone else, get to make your book as good as possible. How exciting is that? You've written the manuscript. You've already written a good story with good three-dimensional characters. And now you get the chance to perfect it, to hone it, to make it as good as possible. Why would you not want to take that time to do that? Why would you not enjoy that? You get to go back to those words you wrote and refine them, make them better. I get it. Long ago, after I had spent the time to write a first draft, I was done. At that point, I didn't want to read it again. I didn't want to see it again. I was done. That was then. This is now. Now, any chance I get to go back and reread something I've written and make it better, I get excited about it. Because let me tell you why. Once a book is published, it's out of my hands. I'm not going to go back to that book. I'm not going to get another chance to make it better. I haven't even reread any of the books that I've written long ago. Now, there have been times when I've recorded them for audiobooks. Ergo, I've reread them in that instance. But I don't go back and reread those old books. Partially because I've read them and I wrote them and rewrote them and read them and reread them. And I moved on. Because I know that if I go back to those old books, I'll go, yeah, I can do this better. I don't want to do that. Because those books were written at a specific time in my life that defined that voice. And now my voice is different. And I don't want to change that. So in the process of a book that I'm writing now, if I get another chance to make it better, you can bet I'm going to take it. And I'm going to enjoy it. Because why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I absolutely be thrilled with the idea that I can improve upon my work? Look, and I know. I feel the same way. When I submit a book to beta readers, I want it to be perfect. I want the beta readers to come back to me and say, I got no suggestions, it's great. And then when I submit it to an editor, I want the same thing. I want to be like Ed Wood. I want to be one take Jack. I want it to... Let me tell you a little anecdote here. I just submitted Fear 4 to the publisher, okay? And I had to send a blurb. So I wrote the blurb very quickly, and I sent it to my editor, because I always like the editor that edit the book to also check out the blurb and make sure that it jibes with the story and is grammatically correct and blah, blah, blah. So I sent it to my editor, and the editor came back to me and said, this is the first time in my career that I've ever said that the first draft of a blurb was perfect. Yeah, that was my response too. I was like, what? No, surely there's something. No. I got to send that first draft of a blurb off to the publisher. I was shocked. I was absolutely floored because that just doesn't happen. But it was one of those instances where I got to go, I got something right on the first try. That doesn't happen with books. A full manuscript, no, that doesn't happen. I always have to, there's always corrections. There's always corrections. So the idea now that I would submit something to an editor and it'd be perfect on the first try is just like, whatever. So instead, I submit it to the editor and I think, we're going to make this book really good. We're going to take this story to the next level. And every round of edits takes it to another higher level. So why wouldn't I want to do that? It's my work. It's my name on it. I want it to be as good as possible. I want this book that I'm writing now to be better than the book I just finished. So you can be sure that I'm going to dive into the editing process full bore. Almost a huzzah! I get another chance. So when you approach the editorial process of your book, think about it that way. Think about it as another chance to party with this manuscript. Instead of going, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm done. That doesn't do you or your book any good. Edits can be fun. On top of which, it's a great opportunity to learn. You've hired this editor, or your publisher has hired this editor because they're good at what they do. Let them do their job, and in the process, learn from them. Because every time you learn something from them, there's going to be less problems that you're sending them. See how that works? Anyway, that's all I got today. I'm just excited that hopefully I can impart on to you that editing can be fun. It doesn't have to be a slog. Anyway, thank you for taking the time to listen to me blather on about the craft of writing. I'm very passionate about writing. I love it. It's what I do. I write for a living. And hopefully I can help you get to the point where you're writing for a living as well. Anyway, thank you very much. Subscribe to this if you want. If not, maybe come back another time for another video. I'm trying to post them as often as possible. I've got all sorts of stuff in here. Really exciting stuff. Lots of stuff planned. So just keep coming back. And just know that I thank you. And I think that each and every one of you out there is awesome.